Hey everyone, and welcome to Portraits of Atlanta, the only podcast where you get to learn about your neighbors and what makes our communities great. My name is Chris Lazarus, and I am your host today. We are joined by a very special guest, Bree Johnson of Ackworth, Georgia. Hey, Bree.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. Bree is the owner of Good Faith Health Insurance with a community focus, where she donates 10% of all profits back to local communities and charities. Bree grew up in Cobb, lived in Cobb, moved away for a slightly little bit, and then moved back to Cobb because now you're in Ackworth.
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Portraits of Atlanta.
Thanks for having me.
So you grew up in Cobb, and you came back to Cobb, and now you're building a business in Cobb.
Yes.
Why Cobb?
Why Cobb County? Well, there were a couple of reasons, actually. The first one being that most of my family's here.
That's a good reason.
Yes. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm very family-oriented, and I love being in a big family. I'm one of 11 children, so
that is a massive family.
Yes.
That's not a big family.
Yeah.
That's like, did you do two cars going everywhere, or did you have like the big van?
My mother's dream car was a 16-passenger van, which we thought was pretty funny growing up. But no, my dad rigged an '88 Suburban when we were really young.
No kidding.
That's what we learned to drive on.
Awesome.
But so I grew up in the family, just having the mentality of taking care of each other. And when you're in a family that large, there's no room for, you're kind of on your own to a large extent, just because you can't live in chaos with that many kids. It's chaos all the time, but you learn to work very early on and be self-sufficient very early on because you just have to.
Yeah.
So I grew up in the community, just very, very devout family, Christian background, and wanted to be more involved in our church, wanted to be more involved in the family, and the business side of it came about in a very unique way. So I'm going to let you continue with your questions, and then I'll give you all that information in a minute.
So you're in Ackworth now. What do you do when you're not working? Like what are your pastimes?
What do I like doing? Well, I'm a dog person.
Okay.
So I have 4 dogs,
all right.
And so I run a lot. I hike a lot. I'm actually really sore today from hiking all over Kennesaw Mountain yesterday.
Nice. That's a good way to spend Labor Day.
Yeah, and then the square actually Marietta Square had a festival. And so it was really nice to just kind of hike around and then go meet a bunch of these small business owners at this festival, many of whom, I remember one lady, she owned this art studio that she had, and she had been doing it for 30 years. I mean, you're sitting there going, she traveled all the way from Florida just to set up a booth in our little square in Marietta. And you just meet a lot of neat people whenever you are a business owner. You get to meet other folks who are in the same similar field and facing the same problems. And in in a lot of cases, it's health insurance. That's the biggest concern that people seem to have right now as small business owners, especially when they have under 50 employees.
And that's been a big issue. My background before real estate was I was a financial advisor.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I had my 7, my 66, my life accident health, my variable product. I could sell pretty much anything under the sun when it came to financial products. But thanks to a recession, I ended up in real estate, and I'm so happy because of that. So kind of back on track. I completely get it. You're right. It used to not be this bad for homeowners, or for business owners. When we had the ability to just go out and buy insurance, like you check off, you just kind of pick what you want. Here, you want it. Here, this is the cost.
Here's your deductible.
Yep.
There you go.
And it's not that easy anymore.
It's not.
So we'll get into talking about that in a little bit. So back to you. You are a dog person. What is your favorite breed?
I don't have a favorite breed.
No.
I actually own I used to show Australian Shepherds.
Okay.
And then I switched over to Dobermans. I actually have a Doberman
because Aussies are
pinscher.
kind of a spastic breed.
They can be. Mine are very laid back. Two of my dogs are ex-therapy dogs.
Okay.
I mean, I trained them really, really well. I've got Facebook videos of my dog off lead telling her, don't chase that deer, and she'll just stay right by my side. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I have a Doberman Pinscher, a Havanese, a Lagotto, and an Australian Shepherd. So I have 4 completely different breeds.
Yeah.
And they're all unique. And, I love that. I love having the uniqueness of each breed. And I just realized, like, with my Doberman, I needed a running partner, first of all. And Dobermans have high stamina. And I didn't want to deal with the coat. So Australian Shepherds have very thick coats. But they're wonderful. I mean, I love all of my dogs. It's kind of like a parent saying I love all my children.
Yeah.
There's
always one, though.
There's always one.
To my kids, if you're ever listening to this, I'm kidding.
Well, my parents like to say, our favorites are determined by how many grandkids you give us.
Oh, that's a good one.
And so I'm not a favorite yet, but we love children. It's definitely one of those passions we have to help families and to help kids. And, we're always doing free babysitting for folks just because we love children. We like working around them. Because I was very much a second mom to my siblings. I was the only girl out of the first 6. So 2 older brothers and then 3 directly under me. So it was a blast. I mean, it was so much fun growing up in a big family, but not for everybody.
No, it's, I've got a background. Like my family, I've got tons of cousins because we had a big family, but then I'm an only child. So it's like...
So they knew who did it.
Yeah, it took me a long time to, like, learn how to share.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like, don't touch my stuff.
There's some truth to that.
Don't touch my stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, you probably didn't get away with much.
No.
Yeah, because they knew who did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I was also the golden child.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I have a
couldn't
brother.
do anything wrong.
I have a brother that's the golden child.
Yeah.
He stopped being the golden child when he moved to Chicago.
Ah, yeah.
So.
You leave the nest.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, you love dogs.
Yes.
You love hiking.
Yes.
Going to festivals.
Mm-hmm.
What? So where do you go hike around here?
There's a couple of places. There's a place over Cheatham Hill Road.
Yeah.
So my grandfather actually owns property across from there. That was whenever. You don't quote me on my history, but there were battles fought in his backyard, literally.
Probably. That's right by the National Battlefield.
Yeah, right across from Powder Springs Road.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually have found horseshoes, bullets, glass, like all kinds of stuff in his backyard because we used to have a garden. So yeah, I mean, I grew up hiking over there, walking those trails. I used to run cross country with the Chattahoochee cross country team way back in the day. And that was a blast. Yeah. But you're running with all these Kenyans, and these guys are just so quick.
Yeah.
And they'd come up behind me, and I'm pretty skinny. I mean, I'm 5'10", about 135 pounds. And they'd come up behind me and go, "Brianna, speed up, you're too fat," And it was great. I mean, that's how I kind of developed a love for running and hiking, was working, being in that community and on that team.
Very cool.
So Malachi actually went All-American the next year. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So switching subjects a little bit. So you're in Ackworth.
Yes.
Cherokee
County.
So the Cherokee part of Ackworth?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of development happening there.
Yes.
What are some of why did you move to that area? What do you like about it?
Well, I mean, part of it was we needed to find a house that had access to our backyard. Had a basement access to the backyard because we do have a lot of dogs. And it was really hard to find a house with that. And at the time, my husband and I were both working different jobs, but we loved the fact that it was so close to downtown Woodstock.
It is super close.
It's very, very close. We're right off Bells Ferry. And so that was the first thing. The second thing was that the community is an older community. Mm-hmm. So you got a lot of seniors in our neighborhood. And they are just very tight-knit. They care a lot about each other. Our neighbor, his name is Tony. I met him twice. And then he passed away 6 months after we moved in. And you got to see, or we had the benefit of seeing, just the whole neighborhood. I mean, people walk up and say, "How's Tony?" Oh, he passed away. And they were legitimately grieved for him. So it was
a different time.
Yeah, it was a different time because these guys had been in the neighborhood for 30 years.
Yeah.
So they knew each other. They all knew each other. And so that was the first thing, is that the house was perfect. Obviously, we needed wood floors, minimal carpeting. Let's see. And then getting to downtown Woodstock was phenomenal. As far as this was kind of 3 years ago, I think. This was right before it just exploded.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can't find parking anywhere.
No, it's hard. You got to go in off hours.
Yeah. So a lot of times we'll just park at Woodstock Park, which is another great hiking spot. It's got these paved roads. So a lot of these mothers will come out with their strollers, and walk with their kids. And it's just kind of cool to see that. A lot of people are just very cheerful, very, very strong on the Southern hospitality. I don't know how much experience you have up north, but
I've been down here like 20 years.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I've been down here long enough.
Yeah.
I can pull out the accent, but it pretty much stays put away at this point.
Yep. So it's fantastic to be part of that community, though.
Yeah.
And, I get to attend YPOW, which is Young Professionals of Woodstock.
Yep.
And, Dan Throkill and Joe, and there's just a lot of guys in that group who are very, very involved in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really refreshing to see that happening because these are all strangers that would not have anything to do with each other except for the fact that we all love to network and we all like coffee.
Mm-hmm. We've got several of our agents that go to YPOW.
Oh, yeah.
So they're involved there.
Which ones?
Brandon McGovern, I know off the top, and I think that there's a couple more that have been involved. And, we've had Dee Dee Lee on the show. We've had Dan Thrailkill on the show.
I love Dee Dee.
Yeah.
She's great. I had a coffee meeting with her last week. So she's kind of, one of those people that has, for so young a person, has done so well.
Yeah.
And you're just humbled by that, I guess.
I'm a fan.
Oh, yeah. But she's great. And so the YPOW aspect of it didn't come up until we had been here about a year.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you go in and you actually get to learn about the person, not just what they do. And that's really what we're about. We want to learn about the person. We want to learn why you do what you do. What do you love about what you do? And if you don't like what you do, why are you doing it? So it's a very millennial kind of mentality. If you don't like your job, find something you do like.
Exactly. And that's the whole purpose of this show, is to get to know our neighbors. Because we want to know the why.
Yep.
And when we get back, we're going to dive into the why and find out why you started this business, why you're doing what you're doing, and
why are you the way that you are.
Exactly. That's what we all want to know here. All right, everybody, we will be back. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsors.
Portraits of Atlanta is sponsored by Select Realty. Select Realty is proud to present Honest Offers. Honest Offers is more than just an instant cash offer on your home. We let you know how much you profit when you sell by owner, traditionally, or a cash offer. With Honest Offers, you'll know which selling method is right for you, the way you want to sell. We're revolutionizing home sales with Honest Offers. Contact us at 770-509-0265 or go to selectrealty.com with 2 L's in the word sell.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back, Atlanta. We are here over at Portraits of Atlanta with Bree Johnson of Good Faith Health Insurance. And thanks for being with us today, Bree. We've talked a little bit about, where you are, where you grew up.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up in Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
You live in Cobb. Now you're building a business in Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us about it?
Well, the business is it's in Cherokee County,
Mm-hmm.
but the business itself it's Good Faith Health Insurance, and I specialize in small business health and individual health insurance.
Okay.
And I focus on, I have a specialty, which is something that's a little bit different from most health carriers, from most health agents. My specialty is that I actually help people with pre-existing conditions.
Okay.
And in a lot of cases, you're going to come across folks who are getting older, who are struggling with their health care.
Mm-hmm.
In many cases, it's a prescription issue. Sometimes, I'll come across someone who's paying $2,000 a month or $1,500 a month for their prescriptions. And that's kind of one of the first places that I start. It's like, okay, well, why do you have this issue? And what are your options as far as looking at group versus individualized insurance? So that's kind of where I start.
Mm-hmm.
And my job is to basically make sure that whenever someone has a need, when they have something happen, that they are not going to go bankrupt, that their family is taken care of, that their business is safe, And we've started actually utilizing disability insurance as well into the business, simply because so many of the clients that I come across are really concerned about that as well. Because you're statistically more likely to need disability than you are to just pass away suddenly. And most people think, oh, life insurance, which is important. It's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of what I do as far as what I do.
So why did you get into it?
Yes.
Why health insurance?
Why did I get into this? I actually nearly named my company Muck and Merc.
Muck and Merc.
Yeah, just because you have to wade through so much of
Yeah.
it before you
Yeah,
you
really
come
do.
across what you really need. But the why of it, back in 2015, we actually had an acquaintance of mine who I learned about her through a church community and friends groups and stuff, whose husband had passed away suddenly. And she actually ended up traveling across the country doing conferences about grief, but she was only 26, 27. Her husband, I believe, was 32, and they had 3 children under the age of 5. So that had just a huge impact on me, because it's kind of and I didn't know her really well, but I grieved for her simply because I had been newly married, just a year prior, and I couldn't imagine losing my husband, let alone losing him with 3 children. So I got into the industry doing life and disability insurance, and I specialized in people with pre-existing conditions. That summer, I actually had another friend who lost her daughter, and again, a huge impact just on me and on the community. And then my best friend had the experience of giving CPR to her boss, who was 45, and he just passed away. He was at work and things were normal. He was a chiropractor, very healthy guy, and
Wow.
just died. So it was one of those things where I started looking at statistics and looking at kind of how often does this happen, and it happened more often than we would like to admit or even consider, because nobody wants to think about their loved one passing, or being disabled, or being in a hospital for an extended period of time. So I had that happen, and I actually worked in the industry for about 2 years, and then decided that on the healthcare side, there were so many clients that were calling me, all of them small business owners who were struggling on the healthcare, and they were going, Bree, do you know anything? What can you tell me? Like, are there other options? And I researched it for about 6 months before I committed to actually working on the healthcare. And I started working with a couple of different carriers. Little known fact is that there are very few health carriers that are A-rated in Georgia. Very few. I've only found really 2.
2.
And, the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, definitely changed a lot of things. Obamacare changed a lot of things. The idea behind it was a great idea. I'm not bashing the idea, but it definitely did not pan out the way anybody thought it would. So as a result, people are now overpaying for insurance that, they're paying for things they don't necessarily need in a lot of cases. For example, do you want to pay for maternity?
I think I need it.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
we're actually done having kids. We're done. We've got our 3. We're not happening
so why
again.
pay for something that you don't necessarily need? Preventative coverage, prostate exams, mammograms, all that other stuff. If you're young and you're really healthy and you don't have a history of those issues in your family, unless you're one of those people you want to get that done every year, then you can pay for the coverage. But majority of people don't want to pay for those things. So what I've found is that by customizing the plans, you can keep costs down. And this is through individualized insurance. So here's kind of the difference. You've got group insurance, which is the ACA compliant plans, where you're paying for all the bells and whistles.
That's like, a company, they've got a group plan, or you've got your bronze, your silvers, your golds.
Yes. And there are a lot of carriers that are not highly rated. So you're paying a high deductible, and then you're paying a percentage afterwards.
Okay.
Most group plans also have a cap to what they're going to pay out for the life of the plan, which you don't know. They don't really clarify that. So in a lot of cases, though, I'll sit down with someone and I'll tell them, depending on what their pre-existing is, I'll say, you need to stay on a group plan. It just depends. So, for example, I've had clients with pre-existing like Crohn's, Graves' disease. I've got a client with Usher syndrome, which is a very rare condition. I've got clients with heart conditions. And all of them, it's customized to them. So it's tailored to what they want. So if I've got someone who doesn't necessarily want to pay for doctor's visits because they only go once a year, then they don't have to pay for that. They can add it if they want to at any point, because what people don't realize is that care like that is not underwritten. So what that means in insurance speak is that it doesn't matter what your health is. You can still get it. You could be diagnosed with cancer and you can still get doctor's visits. So between the two of them, it just depends on the case. And I turn people towards group insurance just as often as I turn them towards individualized insurance, just depending on what their pre-existing is. One of my first clients had a $2,000 a month prescription.
Wow.
She wasn't taking the meds. She was basically coming to me for life insurance because she said, I'm going to die, which is very dramatic, 27 years old and very healthy otherwise, but she had a pre-existing condition that required that prescription. She couldn't afford it, so she didn't take it. She was 5'7" and weighed 100 pounds.
Wow.
And what ended up happening with her is I found that prescription for her on an assistance program, and she was paying $40 a month. So there are ways around it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, there are ways around it. The end of that story, though, she called me a couple months later. She's like, Brianna, I got married 3 months ago and I'm pregnant. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those miracle stories that you read about, you don't really hear about or see it. But that was what led me into the healthcare side of it, because she was one of my first clients. And since then, I've had tons of stories. I've had so many people that have needed help on their healthcare. But it's also a question of, there's a lot of health carriers out there that will cover you falling off the roof, but it won't cover you hitting the ground. So, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So
ground's always there, right?
Yes. So there's a lot of fly-by-night individualized healthcare products out there that are just not very good, which is why you want to work with someone who can look at several different carriers. Now, I do have one main carrier that is my favorite carrier.
And you're like one of the top producers with them, right?
Yes. I'm actually number one in the Southeast. I think last time I looked, I was 15th in the nation. And it's not so much that, being a top producer, you're selling, but it's also retaining. So you have to be able to retain
people
your
come
clients.
Back.
Yeah.
Because nobody can ever, it's like in real estate.
Yes.
Nobody's a top producer by going out and finding, 15, 20, 30 new clients every year. It's because people like us, we do a good job, and they keep coming back.
Exactly. And I think that's one reason why I have been so successful on that side of it, which has just been very humbling. I've had some great people that have supported me in the sense of, emotional support and you can do it support, and keeping each other accountable and keeping each other honest.
Yeah.
But so on the healthcare side of it, it's definitely a big issue. And when you're working with someone who, at least with my company, we actually make the effort to go to you. It's not just a phone call. If you're going through a group insurance plan, which is fine, I mean, some people need that. I actually partner with other brokers who work specifically in that field. And, I'll send them business, say, hey, this person needs this type of plan. Can you find this for them? And, it's a really mutually beneficial relationship. And what I've found is that when you're connecting with people who are good people in their industries, your business can just excel without you having to do all the legwork, in the sense that you want to depend on people who are honest and upfront about what they sell as
Absolutely.
well.
I mean,
Same with real estate.
Everybody is being sold a million things right now. You got relationships matter.
Yeah.
And I think that one thing I really like about the state of business right now is that people are focusing more on the relationship.
Yes.
It's not, sell this, the commercials that we grew up with in the 90s and, all that stuff has kind of gone by the wayside. It's not like, buy. It's, let's dig a little deeper. Let's get to, what you need. Let's figure it out.
Yes.
Because I think right now there's so much information that's out there that where pros like you come in is taking all that information and putting it in a way that's
simplify it.
Yeah. That you can digest.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I mean, I sit down with my clients, and someone will call me just wanting a quote, a blanket quote, and I'll say, I'm not doing that over the phone, simply because I need to sit down and educate you about your options. Usually takes 30 minutes, and people are fine with it, because I'll come to them. But it's one of those things that because it's a customized plan, you want to customize the relationship as well.
Absolutely.
So.
It's not a one size fits all mentality anymore. And
yes.
Bree, that's fantastic that you're doing that. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with after a message from our sponsors with our speed round, where we're going to put Bree on the hot seat today. Stay tuned.
Portraits of Atlanta is sponsored by Select Realty. Select Realty is proud to present Honest Offers. Honest Offers is more than just an instant cash offer on your home. We let you know how much you profit when you sell by owner, traditionally, or a cash offer. With Honest Offers, you'll know which selling method is right for you, the way you want to sell. We're revolutionizing home sales with Honest Offers. Contact us at 770-509-0265 or go to selectrealty.com with 2 L's in the word sell.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Portraits of Atlanta. We're here with Bree Johnson, and she is now on the hot seat. We're going 60 seconds on the clock for our speed round, and we're going to ask random questions, Bree.
Okay.
All right,
I'm ready.
You're just going to try and answer as many of these as possible in
Okay.
60 seconds. Here we go. What's your favorite way to spend a weekend?
Hiking, running,
What
eating
type of
food.
All right, awesome. What type of music are you into?
Right now, country and like Hamilton. I'm way into Hamilton right now.
What was the best vacation you ever took?
Oh, best vacation. Probably Egypt.
What's the next place on your travel bucket list?
United Kingdom.
UK. What are your hobbies and how did you get into them?
Oh gosh. Ran cross country in college. Was into dog shows and grooming and did all that all through high school and middle school. So
Awesome. What was your favorite age growing up?
I pass.
What was the last thing you read, either digitally or in print?
Mortality of Sin. So
Would you say you're more of an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm probably an extrovert.
What's your favorite ice cream topping?
Whipped cream and fudge. It's got to be 2.
What's the last show you binge watched?
Mindhunter.
I've heard that's good. If you've been given it. Oh, there we go. All right, Bree. Thank you so much for joining us. For anybody who's listening that wants to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Well, there's two ways they can get in touch with me. They can actually call me on my direct line, which I don't know if you want me to give that out.
Go
It's
ahead.
770-289-9231. I do take texting as well. And the other way they can reach me is they can go through my website, which is https, but I'm not going to go into that one. But it's a goodfaithhealthinsurance.com. Goodfaithhealthinsurance.com. That's my website. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure we have all of that in the show notes. So visit portraitsofatlanta.com to recap and follow up with Bree Johnson.
Yeah.
Tongue-tied today. With Bree Johnson of Good Faith Health Insurance. Thanks for tuning in, and Bree, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Portraits of Atlanta is sponsored by Select Realty. Select Realty is proud to present Honest Offers. Honest Offers is more than just an instant cash offer on your home. We let you know how much you profit when you sell by owner, traditionally, or a cash offer. With Honest Offers, you'll know which selling method is right for you, the way you want to sell. We're revolutionizing home sales with Honest Offers. Contact us at 770-509-0265 or go to selectrealty.com with 2 L's in the word sell.